What up, what up, what up? Hey, everybody, hope you're doing well. Hey, I just want to let you know, I know everybody can't always support and donate to the podcast, but hey, if you can do a one-time donation, I put up a Buy Me a Coffee link in this description of the podcast. So if you go to the description of the podcast, it'll be at the bottom, and you can just go to that link, and you can buy me a cup of coffee, or two if you want. And that would just help support the show, and I can wake up a little bit more and bring you more info. So thanks for listening to the podcast. If you can donate, that would be much appreciated. And let's get on to the show. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO, legend, and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and taking care of yourselves. Today I want to explore and question who are these black camoed military members who are at crash sites and are threatening individuals and seem to have a security around so much of this UFO activity. So, let me put this into a few different segments for this podcast, and this is how it'll go for today. We'll talk about who they may potentially be, which agencies they may be, and why. And then we'll go into the second question. Why are they doing these military abductions? Why are they at these UFO crash sites? Why are they threatening our military personnel who are here to serve the country? And they deserve not to be threatened by other Americans, no matter who they, seem to be representing. Okay? So let's pull up a few articles here and talk about it. So my number one is that I would think it would be Blackwater. Okay? Right? Many people are familiar with Blackwater. They do a lot with security around the world. And what many people don't know, and I learned this through listening to the CEO of Blackwater, Eric, and he talked about how these guys, they're really focused on the fact that the government needs these contractors to fill out the billets of war. Billets are positions. The government does not have enough military to fight these wars, to train these other countries' militaries. So these guys, Blackwater, go in, they train, but they also fight alongside these individuals. These, last time they were training Afghanis, last time, and the time before that, they're training Iraqis, so they're training these militaries to take over these areas that the government needs to have and maintain control over politically. Now, he said, the CEO of Blackwater stated that up to 60%, maybe even more, of the wars are fought with contractors to some degree. Now, Blackwater themselves actually came under a great deal of fire because on September 16, 2007, a convoy of Blackwater contractors that were guarding State Department employees entered a crowded square near the Mansour district of Baghdad, Iraq, and they just wiped out 20 people. Now, I'm not saying they were right or wrong, but the consensus is they were wrong. They wiped out a whole bunch of civilians. So they came under scrutiny. They actually had to eliminate their name. They had to go under the name XE as a company, and then they were eventually bought out by multiple other companies. So Blackwater itself might actually still exist, although it's really underneath the parent company. So do I think it's Blackwater? They have too much stuff underneath in their past for me to believe that they're still doing military abductions, meaning, and maybe I need to make this clear for us ufologists here, but military abductions are the abductions where military members are seen during alien abductions side by side, or that the military themselves is dressing up like alien species, abducting people on what appear to be alien spacecrafts, and then interrogating them and running experiments on them. Okay, so make that clear. So, do I think that it's Blackwater? I think that Blackwater has too much going on in their history negatively for them to be part of the government's willingness to hire them. So I think they're out of the running. So who are individuals seeing these alien abductees? Who are they seeing during these MILABs or military abductions? They're seeing military personnel, and they believe what they're seeing, and this is what they're seeing, and there's 5 parts to this. So they're seeing individuals who may be extraterrestrials using the techniques of mind control or technological camouflage, like screen images, to deceive alien abductees into believing their government is involved. Okay, and this article comes to us from alienjigsaw.com. So this is really interesting the way they kind of put it into a bullet point. And we're examining this, right? Because this is really frustrating from from people who want to believe in their government and want to believe in their military, and then there's this rogue offshoot that just does whatever they want to do. That's not underneath the Constitution. They're not following any laws. They make up their own. They're outlaws. Okay? No matter what their intentions are, they're outlaws. Part B to what these alien abductees are seeing is they believe that the military personnel may be part of a secret agency or black ops team that is involved in retrieving information from alien abductees about extraterrestrials. I believe this may possibly be the case. The reason I say that is because we've heard from Richard Doty, who's in the Office of Special Investigations, that their primary focus was not to find individuals who had alien DNA, but it was to find individuals who may be under the influence of alien species because they have alien DNA. My theory is that these individuals who the military is abducting, is that these individuals might have alien DNA within them, and they're being abducted so that they can learn as much as they can from these individuals. They can't just take them out of a mall in the middle of everybody, right? Like Richard Doty went out with Katie and he said, hey, point some people out. And they went and interviewed them, but they didn't abduct them. In these cases, the military is apparently abducting individuals and running experiments and interrogating these people, whether it's under hypnosis or whether they're conscious. Part C, these alien abductees believe they may be working with a specific extraterrestrial group, these military members. That may also be possible. That may also be possible because they may be helping the Greys out, who may be helping our government out, which may be giving us technology, or they may be giving us freedoms and not abducting us, or they may be, protecting us from other species. So that might be the case. There is the Eisenhower Treaty that was believed to be signed by Eisenhower to allow them to abduct humans. Part D is alien abductees seeing military personnel may be hybrids or hybrids, a genetic combination or a cross between humans and extraterrestrials who wear military uniforms to confuse alien abductees. Now, this was actually confirmed by Richard Doty. Richard Doty stated that sometimes the Greys will put on a helmet to ease the fears of individuals who they interact with. So this is definitely possible that these military members could be alien hybrids. Remember, Richard Doty in one of the previous podcasts I just recently did stated that aliens could pour their genetic fluid, their consciousness, their dynamic quantum liquid consciousness into a a human alien hybrid body, which would look basically human. So could these military members that are dressing up in these black camos be just hybrids? Absolutely. And Part E states that they may be part of a secret human agency or a military team abducting humans in order to create or increase the impression that extraterrestrials abduct humans, or to sow confusion regarding the possible presence and activities of extraterrestrials on Earth, or for some other reason beyond our current understanding. Now, this would be that Project Bluebeam, right? The project of making us believe that there's an alien threat, and that we have to fight against the aliens constantly. Now, this was brought up in the Disclosure Project back in 2001, by a Miss Braun, I believe her name was, and she talked about how she was warned by some scientists that were working for the government that soon there would be a revelation by the government that the aliens are a threat to us, and they will use Project Bluebeam as a way to broadcast their threat in the skies, whether it's a ship shooting at a major city or whatever the case, or abducting people is. So that could be possible too. So then in this article, we move on to the motivation, and looks like there's 5 parts to this as well. So regardless of whether the abductors are human or extraterrestrial, possible motives for interacting with the abductees include a longitudinal study, studying the alien abductees' psychological and physiological responses over a long period of time to see how they respond to these abductions. I don't think that's the case. I think they probably know what's going to happen. That people are probably going to lose their minds, especially when, if they ever get hypnotized and find out the truth of what's going on here. So I don't think that that's the case. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but I think that there's way more to dig deep into here. B, studying different types of human responses and how they relate to cultural and socioeconomic differences. I think we're getting maybe a little bit closer, but not quite there, right? I mean, I think what they're looking at is probably more along the lines of alien species, alien DNA, not so much human socioeconomic factors. I don't think that plays a big role into it. C, the possibility of a motivation here could be the creation of a new race, although I don't understand why the military members would have a big factor there unless they are hybrids. And D, the creation of a new and better soldier, which some refer to as a super soldier. Maybe there's something there to be said for the creation of, or the continuation of better created species or hybrids with the humans and the greys. I think that is definitely possible. However, I think there's more to this. I still think there's more to this. I think that there has to be a reason they're putting so much effort in to abduct these people and then put them back. Okay? If they really wanted these people for a long-term study, they're just going to take them. Just going to take them. They'll be gone. Right? And never come back. I think they're taking these individuals, and I'll do a wrap-up, but I think they're taking these individuals because they have this alien DNA that may be hostile. Okay? They're not going to take people who they don't think could be hostile, but that the alien DNA could allow them to be controlled. And I'm not saying that the human hybrid is, this person that's living on Earth is necessarily evil or hostile themselves, but that the species that has the alien DNA within this person could be a hostile species to us, a known hostile species, and in which case we want to find out if this individual is a threat. Maybe they can take this person and connect to their consciousness and find out what they know about these particular species, kind of like, connecting into their subconscious. Maybe they're doing some hypnosis. Maybe they have technology we don't even know about to tap into and find out more about this particular individual's mission here on the planet. Something to think about. Number four is alterations of the human and or extraterrestrial and or hybrid genome. Alterations, maybe they're making some alterations to that particular person, maybe to make them more controllable, maybe to put in a tracking device, a listening device to find out what, if anything, that they are doing or hearing from these other species. Number six is inducing paranormal experiences. Inducing paranormal, I don't know why they would want to induce a paranormal experience or which kind of paranormal experience they're talking about there. But maybe there's something more to be read into there. And number seven is studies and experiments involving human consciousness, including but not limited to the states of shared consciousness between extraterrestrials and human beings and consciousness splitting experiments. I think there's definitely something to be said there. I mean, there's a lot of experiments they can run while they have these MyLabs going on, more than we know about, right? Because we don't know all their technology. But I think that, they're definitely doing something with these specific individuals. You don't just take a random person, because the government knows every single person on the planet, right? They're not going to take Joe Schmo that has nothing to do with the alien agenda, nothing to do with their experiments or alien experiments. They're going to take somebody important, whether it's something in their blood work, something in their continued lifespan of their consciousness, meaning like the soul's continual reincarnation. Maybe that soul has something special that they need, and they're going to tap into that soul's knowledge of previous lifetimes. I mean, there's something special about these individuals they're taking. So that's the important thing. It's not just random. Maybe the aliens are taking somebody random. Maybe they're not. When they do their own alien abductions, maybe they're taking random people, especially with like that Travis Walton case. It seemed like, they had landed, these guys went up and walked up towards the ship, and Travis just happened upon the ship, and the ship was just like, hey, this guy's here, let's just take him. That seems like it was kind of more of a happenstance kind of thing. So moving forward, the writer here of this particular article states that, obviously they want to maintain secrecy. Whether we're dealing with extraterrestrials or a nefarious group of powerful human beings, there's an obvious disinformation campaign that's been occurring for 70 years. Extraterrestrials, alien abductees seem to remember seeing humans, and humans may want the alien abductees to remember seeing extraterrestrials. So they might be hiding, they might be, wearing a disguise, they might be doing all kinds of things. Altruistic behavior. Could this be an altruistic project or mission? The writer states it's doubtful, but not impossible, that the human component would have intentions of helping their fellow human beings. Unless the human group has developed the technology to look into mankind's future, our hypothesis is that any assisting behaviors are related to the phenomenon would include a small group of humans who have split from the MyLab cabal group. And it's also sensible to assume that spiritual beings come in both positive and negative forms with possible similar agendas. And some of these intelligences might be attempting to influence or are in fact impacting the overall phenomenon. So there's a lot to unpack there, but yeah, basically what they're saying is that it's not very likely that if these are humans on these ships, that they're not there for a whole bunch of altruistic behavior for us individuals. Maybe in the grander scheme they are, but as far as us individuals, we're basically guinea pigs if we're taking on these abduction experiences and not treated very kindly. They state there's also attempts to show alien abductees what mankind's future holds, perhaps even to demonstrate what specific extraterrestrials are planning. And alien abductees experience encounters referred to as visions or teaching experiences with some of the abductees feeling more comfortable calling them dreams. Teaching experiences also occur within the context of the ET contact. Some visions occur during remote viewing, as well as when individuals who are talented enough to place their consciousness in another location, time, or dimension. The extraterrestrial visions, on the other hand, and teaching experiences are used to convey an extraordinary amount of information over a relatively short span of time. So, it seems like they're trying to help us, at least the aliens are, but why are the humans on board? Is it because with the Eisenhower signing, all of a sudden we have to be babysitters? I don't think so. It doesn't seem that way. Remember the most recent case I told you about with the Marine who was in Indonesia, and he stated these black ops military guys were like, hey, should we shoot these guys right now? Doesn't seem like they're out to help us. Doesn't seem like they're out to let the people know what's going on. So if this is being kept a secret, secrets are never really good, are they? Unless they're going to be a good secret, like a happy birthday surprise or something like that. So for this to be a secret, continued secret through the decades and multiple decades, and it's going to be centuries, it can't be for good. It doesn't seem like it can be for good, and I think that's kind of what they're getting at here towards the end of this article. They talk about the fact that this could be a second generation MK Ultra type psychotic situation where psychotic scientists, or potentially all the above, have different motivations. Maybe they just want to find out more for themselves so they can create their own experiments, right? And they don't really care about us at all. It's really interesting to see what's happened over the last 20 years they talk about, where it's revolutionized humans' ability to communicate on a global scale, right? You use TikTok, Facebook, everything you can imagine, right? To talk to each other, Twitter. The past 20 years and the next 20 years will be a revolution involving our DNA. Our DNA may not be as human as we once believed. When we merge that DNA with technology, what do you suppose will happen, is how they end this article. And it's interesting because they actually have some very interesting documentations in here. They have some CIA docs that were later removed. You can't even find them anymore. Really interesting. It's almost as if somebody's watching and taking them out. It's really interesting. One of the former CIA directors, William Colby, states, quote, "The CIA owns anyone of any significance in major media." How does that make you feel? I remember those like tickers that would come across back in the 50s, and that would be for the news, and then they would type out the news onto the newspaper, and then one of the tickers said, "This is the FBI, star, 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 do not pass on this information, do not give this information out, shred all of your last hours of documentation." And it's like they're always watching, and now that we got cell phones, it's even easier for them to watch. So to kind of wrap this up, I get frustrated only because, we a lot of times we end up running into a dead end with this, black ops thing. But at the end of the day, we're getting more and more whistleblowers that are willing to come out, willing to tell their story. We know that it's happening. We know that it exists. And we know that it's, hopefully going to come to a head. The stories that have been coming out from whistleblowers is that there's an inevitability, there's a singularity where we're going to have all this information come out. It's going to happen. And one of the interesting things about this event that will happen is that individuals who are in the know state that it will flip everything that we know on its head. Religion, social structures, so on and so forth. My question is, why will it flip religion and our beliefs in what we know about, or what we think we know about, passing on into heaven or passing on into your version of heaven, or whatever the case is in the soul's journey and reincarnation? Will it be that we eventually find out that what we think we know about heaven, what we think we know about nirvana, what we think we know about passing on, truly becomes something that we were terrified of all along, being that we're reincarnated continually to create this energy, this louche energy for these alien beings? Will it be something different? Will it be that we find out that humans have always been under the control of some alien species, and that our free will was never really truly our free will? Or will it be that we find out our future is desolate and empty because we're going to kill the planet, right? It's going to be interesting to find out what happens and why they state, so many people on the inside, these whistleblowers state that it's going to flip governments, social networks, social societies and structures, and perceptions on its head. Well, they're doing the soft disclosure already. But will they do this hard disclosure where they're telling us why the military seems to be showing up in alien abductions as well? Will they tell us why abductions are happening, or if they are? Doubtful. And will they tell us about any hostile aliens? Doubtful. Unless they do a false flag attack. And that will be a different story. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring that up to you. I wanted to talk about some of these black ops. They seem to be coming up in a lot of these whistleblower stories. Wanted to share them with you. Wanted to see if any of you guys have had any experiences with these. I'm going to open up the comment section on this podcast and let you chime in, and you can type it into Anchor, or now it's Spotify for podcasters. So you can go there and type it in underneath Lockdown Universe, underneath this particular episode. So thanks, guys, for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a great night, enjoying the 4th of July here in America and around the world. Take care of yourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, guys, take care. Lockdown Universe out.